What up, YouTube? So I'm going to be working on the Crown Vic today. I bought this Crown Vic about 3 months ago at an auto auction. It came from the fire department. It's the fire chief's car. But I've been driving around. I put 4,000 miles on it, and I really enjoy this car. I always wanted a Crown Vic, and I'm not upset or not disappointed with my purchase. The Crown Vic is everything that everyone always talks about. But there is some things that need to be attended to with putting 4,000 miles on it. When I bought the car, I noticed that it was really oily around the oil filter. And when we had our 2 days of winter down here in Florida, when I started the car up, it was dripping quite a bit of oil out from the oil filter adapter gasket. So I'm gonna replace that. And then while I'm in there, since this is a police interceptor module, it has the oil cooler, I'm just gonna go ahead and replace the oil cooler lines. So I thought I would make a video showing me doing it. So let's get going. Okay, I got you guys on the RAN cam, and let's see how this works. First thing we gotta do is drain the oil. So I assume that it's a 16 millimeter, which is what my Mustang is. And I assumed correctly. Now I remember when I changed on this the first time that the oil plug was kind of crappy on it. Like it was cross-threaded or something. And I did warm the car up before I did this. Oh. So there's 4,000 miles on that oil, and it's kind of black. Let me clean off the plug. My hands a bit. And let's go and look. So here's the oil filter adapter, here's the oil coolant hoses. As you can see, there's anti-rust lubricant dripping from it, and on the steering rack right here. The steering makes a noise, like a creaking noise, but I don't really let that bother me. I'll grease that while I'm underneath here. So yeah, that's the problem right there. And I assume it wasn't dripping enough for me to see where exactly it was coming from. I assume it was coming from the gasket and not the hoses. But I'm going to replace the hoses while I'm here because the hoses were cheap anyway. So I'm going to let that drain out real good. Plus, it looks like it'll be a lot easier to remove. With the hoses gone. So that was actually pretty fast. It had good flow there. So here's the oil plug. The oil plug looks all right. It just doesn't feel the best when screwing it in and out. So let me make sure it's all cleaned up. We kind of clean the surface here. And put the oil plug back in. Oh. Okay, it's definitely not cross-threaded. It just gets to a point where it doesn't feel the best. That's the thing about buying cars like this, you never know who they took it to for oil changes. You see, then it got loose again. And it's bottomed out right there, so I'm close to the wrench. That should be good right there. Okay, let me clean that off. I noticed back here the oil pan is a little dirty, so maybe I'll get a wrench on those and just make sure they're tight. I checked the oil at 3,000 miles and I had to add a half a quart, so it wasn't really that bad. Let me see. I'm going to assume those are 10 millimeter. And they are 10. And they're tight. That one's tight. Okay, here we go. Let the car warm up a little too much. That oil was hot. Okay. So there is a sensor I gotta unplug. Man, that coolant hose that's above there, I was not anticipating that, but we probably don't have to disconnect that because we can just let the oil filter adapter module, oil filter adapter plate, I don't even know what it's called, and we can just let it hang. Okay, so this coating's real good for no rust. The problem is here in Florida, sand sticks to everything. So I guess the next thing we'll do is we'll disconnect the oil cooler lines down here and let the rest of the oil drain out. Oh. Lovely. That's really getting torque down there. There it goes. So these oil lines probably didn't need to replace, but I foresaw a possible problem and I'm taking action now. The oil lines are only $34 off Amazon and the oil filter gasket was $8. Now we'll see if I'm going to regret buying the cheapest oil filter adapter gasket, but only time will tell if it was worth being frugal in that situation or not. Another thing is, when I had a 96 Mustang, same exact thing happened. The oil filter adapter gasket leaked, but my 96 Mustang didn't actually have a gasket. It had like concentric O-rings, 3 concentric O-rings that put that adapter plate to the engine. So, do I have to? I think it just slide. They just pop out. The new lines came with that plate that's holding it in there, but not the screw. I'm just going to go ahead and take the screw all the way out so it's out of our way. Probably what I should have done to begin with. Man, that's a pretty long screw, huh? There we go. The screw is out. Those lines are kind of stiff. See, I think they just pull out at this point. There we go. Let me see if I can do this without getting oil on my forearm. So it definitely wasn't leaking on the oil floor side. Oh. There we go. Perfect. Okay, we'll let that drain. Now the thing is, we probably want to undo it off of here while it's mounted to the block, because, let me see, this two separate, no, it's the same piece. So, and that line is hooked to here. Well, I think I'm going to leave that attached and just let it dangle. I think that would be the best bet. So, because I'm going to do that, I'm going to unhook it here while it's still mounted to the block. I'm glad I replaced this now because I see like a stress indicator right there. Oh, And I made my big mess. Man, that one made a mess. I really messed up on that one. Let's try and do a clean job. And I messed it up. Okay, so next we want to get this sensor out of our way. Do I have to get a small screwdriver? Probably. Nope, apparently not. I was hardly clicked on there at all. Okay, so we want to kind of tuck these up out of our way a little bit. Because, yeah, there's one of the bolts right there. And actually, it looks like you gotta take this sensor out. This sensor has to come out because you can't get a wrench on there real clean. I could try to finagle my way to get a wrench on there. No, this sensor has to come out. So it looks 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to check the adapter plate. I'm going to clean up some, make sure there's no oil in the lens. And I'm going to check the adapter plate to make sure I'm looking at the right thing. Okay, so I had to use an adjustable wrench on that oil sensor because I don't have a big enough deep well socket to be able to take that off. It's larger than a 3/4, and my deep wells only go up to 3/4. So hopefully I don't snap it off. I've done that before. Not using a socket on a sensor. My coolant temperature sensor did that when I replaced the intake manifold on my 96 Mustang. So let me... that, and it wasn't even tight at all. There we go. Okay. Yeah, at this point I just have totally made a mess of everything. But the messiest part is still here to come. Okay, so this wiring harness, let me see if I can get it out of the way. Which I kind of can't. Pans for the coolant. Hopefully these pans will be long enough or I'll be real... hopefully these pans, let me try to correct my terminology here. Hopefully these pans have enough capacity to contain all the coolant or we're going to have a really big mess on our hands. So, okay, so we'll start with this one. Crack this one open. Last one's up here. And there we go. Johnny, what are you watching? I'm watching Rayhan work on his Crown Vic. Oh, is Rayhan teaching you anything? He sure is, Ma.
He's teaching me not to buy Crown Vic at a police auction. What a mess. I need one of those, I'll go like this. Let's see if I can. There we go. Thing about it is, I don't know how you would have drained that water out. And there's actually not as much water coming out as I thought there was going to be. Okay, this one is out. Oh, there we go. There's more water. Okay, well, I'll just let it drain out naturally and turn off the camera. Probably have to clean the camera off. Okay, we're back and ready to rock and roll and finish this up. So here's the old gasket, and as you can see, it definitely needed to be replaced. This little metal piece was actually stuck to the oil filter adapter. I had to pry it off. And this is Ford, so this was the real deal. This was a OEM gasket. So matching up to the one I bought by Amazon for $8.75, it matches up perfectly. So that's always cool when that happens. Now I had to there was a lot of gasket gunk stuck to the engine block, so I had to sand that down a little bit. And I went and cleaned up both surfaces. I cleaned up my bolts, so we're just ready to put it all back together. So I don't know how well you can see up there, but I did clean all the surfaces up real good. So I'm gonna put this on here. I'm gonna put this bolt in. Keep it there. Oh, butterfingers tonight. Oh, wow. And then I wanna spin this gasket around and then put it in here. There we go. And then get this started. And I actually need that extension with the socket on it. That would be helpful. See if I can get this one started. Okay. And then the other two, of course, I'm sitting on them. Oh no, I didn't. I'm not thinking right. I dropped them because of those butterfingers. I am starting to get be a little sloppy with where I have everything laid out. And then I'm going to torque these down. Typically the rule is 1/4 inch socket. You can never over torque. So I'm going to grab this towards the head part, because down here I'll get too much torque. Grab this head part and then torque it down like that. I actually need to change to a smaller extension. Okay, let's try this top one. Okay, top one. The top one's tight. Bottom one's tight. Middle one's tight, I guess. Not bottom one. This one was loose. Okay, that one's tight. And then for this one, switch to a longer extension. Okay, that one's tight. Okay, so they're all tight to here, so just to double make sure, I'm just gonna go like this. Okay, that one's good. Okay, that's good. Okay, that's good. That one's good. Okay, so they're all up to what my spec is. So next thing we got to do is put the old sensor in. So it goes on like this. So you put it on in that direction. So the thread tape doesn't spin itself off. And you definitely want to make sure it's not going to cover that hole. And by the way, everyone who only likes my channel for animatronic videos, skills on working on the car will help you out on working on animatronics. It's all mechanical. And electrical too on cars. Everyone thinks that you need a mechanic for a car, which you do, but especially on newer cars, there's so much electrical and so many sensors. You need to know electrical too. Okay, it's not cross-threaded, so use adjustable Hopefully, I just realized that this is a one-wire sensor, so hopefully the thread tape doesn't cause it to like be electrically isolated and not work. Well, if I had to go back and visit this, it's not going to be a big deal. Oh, okay, so it's kind of tight, so I want to just give a little nudge on it. And let's see. Okay, that's in. Okay, now we're ready to put on the new wool lines. And this stuff right here is the secret sauce for working on animation, and you can use it for working on cars too. And a little dab of do ya. It doesn't take much. Just to coat those seals. Just like reminds me of when SpaceX Dragon mounts to the International Space Center. Oh. And hopefully I didn't I mean, this is just like working on animation. Hopefully I didn't nick those O-rings when I put them in because I wasn't being careful. But that's why it helps to lube them up. Oh. And just want to be careful sliding them in so you don't nick the O-rings. Uh-oh, the rain came sliding off my head there. We are completely done. We just had to add fluids. So let me go and try to clean this up so then that way if we have any leaks we can detect that. Detect any leaks. Okay, it only took 1 gallon of antifreeze, so it's definitely vapor locked. But it has oil, it has antifreeze. We'll go and turn it over, see if it starts gushing stuff out. And also we'll see if we have the oil pressure. No oil pressure, there it goes, oil pressure jumped up. Cement is dry. That's always good. Probably didn't take any coolant because it's not hot enough.
Okay, that concludes this video. It seems to be successful. No leaks as far as I can tell, but you know, only time will tell if I did an okay job or not. I still think that it needs more coolant. It's probably vapor locked. And if you're an expert on that situation, on if I did something wrong by you know, air locking the coolant, or if I'm going to blow it up, let me know. But by the time I post this video, it'll be too late if I already blew it up. But I think it'll be fine. I just think it needs to cycle some, and then I'll add some coolant. When I replaced the radiator, I had to add a lot of coolant in the weeks going on from that. So like I said, if you have any suggestions on that, make sure you leave a comment. Thanks for watching. See ya.